Hi, friends. So today I thought we could talk from Luke chapter 9. This passage that has three people who want to follow Jesus. And I think they're kind of archetypes. They're types of humanity in the three ways in which we find obstacles in following God. Following God in the future, following God in relationship to our past, and following God in the present reality. That we can get tripped up along the way in any one of these tenses of time and throw up excuses for not following God because of the past that we've had, or because of where we are right now in our present, or because of what we need or think we need to do in the future. And we can throw up these objections to God, who's simply saying, follow me. And so Jesus addresses these things in just simple but brilliant, short little stories that help us to understand that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and that we need not be afraid of that. And when we're not afraid of that, then we know that He can help rescue us from the past. He can keep us moving in the present and not be anxious about the future. Really the message is that the totalizing decision has to be made for Christ, for Him above and beyond everything else. And then when we do that, all things are well, and all things come together from our past, our present, and into our future. So let's deal with the future one first. I want you to consider how this one man in the gospel responds to the Lord's call to discipleship. Jesus simply says to the man, follow me. But the man responds, let me go and bury my father first. And that seems to be a reasonable thing about his future. Listen, I'm going to follow you, Jesus. I want to be your disciple, but I got X, Y, or Z to do in the future. So just let me get that stuff done first. Let me make those things right. Let me fulfill those obligations. And then I'll have the time to follow you. Here's a bit of the Jewish context that really portrays or betrays what Jesus is trying to actually get at here. And the Jewish context is that, think about the Ten Commandments and the fourth commandment, honor thy mother and thy father. That when a Jewish man, his parents get older, then the expectation is that he will take care of them until he buries them. So in essence, what the man is really saying is, listen, I'll be your follower, but some way off indefinite period of time, meaning much later in life, I'm going to be your follower, because right now I'm following the fourth commandment. And the fourth commandment is I need to take care of my father. He wasn't really dying at that point. He was going to die at some future point. And so Jesus responds very plainly and very bluntly. He says, let the dead bury their dead. And this seems to be harsh and not the proper decorum of Jesus. And let's be honest, if you heard this come from a religious leader, you would be tempted to leave him or her if your religious leader said something this harsh to you. So what is Jesus talking about here? His point is that he has nothing against, not even the littlest thing against family obligations. But what he does insist is that our relationships to him be more important than even the most sacred of obligations that we have in our lives. Even this most precious thing must fall away if we're going to make him absolutely the first and the most important person in our lives. And we have to do that when we're considering our future about any reason that is reasonable and any objection that is right related to our obligations or our expectations or what is needed to be done in our future. As we throw those up, just understand that what Jesus is saying is, listen, I'm not against those things. But what he's trying to communicate to us is that he comes first. And then here's the deal too, that when he comes first, then we're actually able to rightly meet all those other expectations and obligations in our lives. And we're able to do them from the place of fullness in relationship with God rather than separate from Him. And so all those people that need us and all that stuff that needs us in the future will have us and God with them rather than us away from God and waiting to be fully in the life of God until we do A, B, and C in the future. Here's the next one. It's from the past. It's a story that he says very briefly about a plowman. He's a plowman who looks back while he's plowing the field. What happens? He's saying that you cannot be a follower of mine and be like a plowman who still looks back behind him. What happens when, using the farming instruments of Jesus' day? What would happen if a plowman is constantly looking back as he's trying to furrow out lines in his field? Well, those furrows are going to be crooked. They're just going to be all over the place because the plowman is always looking behind him. And what he's saying is that don't look to the behind, don't look to the past in relationship to your discipleship with me. Keep your eyes on me, right? What ends up, okay, so what does this look like? Well, we do this. When we're trying to be in a relationship with Jesus Christ, we're looking back at all the mistakes that we've made, all the sins that we've made, or all the attachments, or all the habits, or all the addictions, all the stuff that we've been willing to let go of. But have we really been willing to let go of them? And what ends up happening in our discipleship walk with Jesus is that as we're trying to walk forward with Him, and as we're trying to plow the field of our lives so that He can plant seeds in our life, so that it can produce a life in us, so that then our lives can produce fruit by which we feed other people, we're busy about looking at our past. And all the stuff that we've let go of for sake of Him, we keep revisiting. And we keep attaching ourselves to the things of the past, to our habits, to our attachments, to our addictions, to our temptations, to our sins, to the stuff that we want. And when we live that way, always holding on to the things that supposedly we've let go of, but we really haven't let go of, then there's no way that we're going to make a straight path to Him. It's going to be very much a crooked path. And not only that, we're not able to really let Him plant the stuff in our lives here and now that will bear fruit in the future, that will feed our lives and feed so many other people. And so He's saying, if you're going to be a follower of mine, you can let go of the stuff in the past. Both those bad things and those things that have attached themselves to your lives, those sinful ways of living, those distractions from the past, those old lifestyles, you can let go of them. And when you do, then you'll be able to make a line that leads to me, and I'll be able to fill that line in with great life. And it will feed you and feed so many others. Here's the last one. We dealt with the future, we dealt with the past, but what about the present reality? A man comes to Jesus and says, I'll follow you wherever you go. And here's Jesus' response to them. Foxes have dens and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. That almost seems a bit cryptic, doesn't it? But here's what it means. Jesus is on the go, and His home is not any one particular place. His home is you. He doesn't, while He's here literally on this earth, He never makes a home for Himself once He begins the mission that His Father has given to Him. He's always moving forward. And if we're going to be a follower of His, we can't settle for this world and settle in this world and settle upon all the stuff that is presently right now keeping us attached to this home. This home, like literally our homes and our cars and our jobs and our comforts, and but also this the whole idea of this life here now being our home. No, our home is with him forever in heaven. And so with that realization, we live in the present reality of always being disciples on the go. Pope Francis said it the best when he coined discipleship as missionary discipleship. We're disciples, but we're disciples on mission. And the mission that we've been given is not our own mission. It's a mission that God has given to us and sent us as missionaries, not in some far-off foreign land, but to our own family and our own friends and to the company of people that surround us from day to day. They're our mission, but we have to go to them, and we have to allow the Lord to lead us to them. So yes, he leads us, and yes, we are his disciples, and we want to follow him, but to follow him means to be missionary disciples, not people who settle on the here and now and the home as we understand it, life and this life now. But the life, and not just the life of heaven, but everything in between that if we allow, he will lead us to those people and their lives and their homes and their needs and their comforts and their desires and the gospel and the mission that God has given us. You see, God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But we're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be the same today as we were yesterday. And we're not supposed to be the same person tomorrow that we were today. We are missionary disciples, always on the go. And we can't get stuck in the past. And we can't think that all there is now. And as we move into the future, it mustn't be with fear and with worries and anxieties about what the expectations of God are or our own obligations. If we make him above and beyond the first, then we'll be able to meet the future in whatever it looks like and whoever comes along the way. Let the dead bury their dead, and Jesus says. Foxes have dens and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. And he also says to us that we mustn't look back as plowmen, but we must keep our eyes on him. And when we do this, then we never will be the same. And you know what? With Jesus, we're never meant to be the same. We're always meant to be growing and evolving and being transformed so that we can be those missionaries, disciples who do the same in other people's lives. What Jesus has done for us, we are called to do for others. But we've got to let him first do it in us before we can do it in others. Until next time, friends.